Season 1, The Luna They Tried to Hide. Episode 2, The Alpha King Who Never Looked Twice. The royal citadel never truly slept. Not during the gathering. For 1 week every year, the ancient fortress became the center of the werewolf world. By sunrise, thousands of wolves filled the sprawling citadel. Luxury vehicles lined the massive stone courtyard. Private aircraft landed continuously on the mountain airstrip carved into the cliffs below. Pack banners waved from every tower. Servants hurried through endless corridors. Security teams monitored every entrance. Musicians rehearsed. Chefs prepared extravagant feasts. Diplomats arrived carrying proposals. Alphas arrived carrying ambitions. And every guest understood the significance of the event. The gathering wasn't merely a celebration. It was politics, power, marriage, alliance, opportunity. Every influential family attended. Every ambitious alpha. Every future Luna. Every heir hoping to secure their future. And almost all of them shared one goal. The Alpha King. King Cassian Ashthorne. The most powerful alpha in existence. The ruler of the largest kingdom in werewolf history. The most desired bachelor in the supernatural world. And the one man nobody could seem to keep. Stories about him traveled through every territory. Some claimed he was cold. Others claimed he was impossible to impress. Many insisted he simply wasn't interested in love. Whatever the truth was, one fact remained undeniable. No woman had ever managed to hold his attention for long, which only made him more desirable. The mystery surrounding him had become legendary, and this year's gathering promised to be no different. Inside the royal citadel's grand ballroom, preparations for the evening reception were already underway. The room stretched across nearly an entire wing of the fortress. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings, painted with scenes from ancient werewolf history. Silver and gold decorations adorned every surface. Fresh flowers imported from distant territories filled the air with a subtle fragrance. Servants moved efficiently through the room. Tables were arranged. Glasses polished. Centerpieces adjusted. Every detail inspected repeatedly. Nothing less than perfection would be acceptable. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation, particularly among the young women. Clusters of future Lunas gathered near the balconies and refreshment tables. Their conversations all seemed to circle back to the same topic. They say he'll attend tonight. He always attends the opening reception. My cousin met him once. Really? For about 30 seconds. What was he like? The girl sighed dramatically. Beautiful. Laughter erupted around the group. Another woman leaned closer. Do you think he'll dance? The question earned immediate laughter. Everyone knew the answer. Cassian never danced. Never flirted. Never courted. Never encouraged attention. Never lingered in conversations longer than necessary, which only made women more determined. One woman adjusted her necklace. Another checked her reflection. A third practiced smiling. Several had spent months preparing for this event. Designer gowns. Professional stylists. Perfect introductions. Carefully rehearsed conversations. All for the possibility of a few minutes with the Alpha King. Whether those minutes would matter remained another question entirely. Elsewhere, Arya stood near a floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the mountains. The view was breathtaking. Snow-covered peaks stretched endlessly beneath the morning sunlight. Clouds drifted through distant valleys. The kingdom looked peaceful from this height, far removed from politics, far removed from expectations, far removed from people. Which was exactly why Arya liked standing there. It also provided a convenient escape from conversation. Celine leaned against the railing beside her. You've spent 20 minutes pretending to admire the scenery. I am admiring the scenery. You hate mountains. Arya sighed. Fine. Celine grinned. I knew it. Arya folded her arms. They make me feel small. The mountains. The people. Celine followed her gaze toward the growing crowd below. Women in designer gowns. Powerful alphas. Future heirs. Children of influential families. Everyone seemed confident. Comfortable. Certain of their place. Arya felt none of those things. I don't belong here. Celine's expression immediately softened. There it is. What? The lie you keep telling yourself. Arya looked away. I don't think it's a lie. It is. Celine pointed toward the ballroom. Half the people in that room are here because of who their parents are. Then she pointed at Arya. You're here because you earned your place. Arya laughed quietly. No one believes that. I do. The simple statement landed harder than expected. Because Celine always meant what she said. Always. Arya stared out the window again. The truth was complicated. She had worked harder than most people realized. She had spent years proving herself. Years overcoming assumptions. Years trying to be seen as more than the daughter of a disgraced family. Yet no matter what she accomplished, whispers followed her. Questions followed her. Judgment followed her. Sometimes she wondered if they always would. Celine nudged her shoulder. You're thinking too much. I always think too much. Exactly. Arya smiled despite herself. Thanks. For what? For being annoying. Celine looked offended. I prefer supportive. You're aggressively supportive. That's because you're aggressively stubborn. For the first time that morning, Arya laughed. A genuine laugh. And some of the tension in her chest eased. At least temporarily. Several floors above, Cassian stood inside his private office. The room overlooked the kingdom below. Massive windows framed the mountains. Ancient books lined the walls. Maps covered one side of the room. His desk contained reports from every territory under his rule. Security updates, trade agreements, intelligence briefings, economic forecasts, military assessments, requests for audiences, requests for funding, requests for intervention. The gathering represented work. Nothing more. At least that was what he told himself. A knock sounded. Enter. His beta, Marcus, stepped inside. Marcus had served beside Cassian for nearly a decade. One of the few people the king genuinely trusted. The two men had survived wars together. Political crises. Assassination attempts. More disasters than either cared to remember. Marcus glanced at the mountain of paperwork. You know normal people take breaks. Cassian signed another document. I'm not normal. Fair point. Marcus approached the desk. The ballroom is ready. Cassian didn't look up. HM. Marcus waited. When no further response came, he sighed. You know you have to appear eventually. I know. People are already asking. Let them. Marcus shook his head. The daughters of 3 alpha families specifically requested introductions. Cassian's expression remained unchanged. No. You don't even know who they are. I don't need to. Marcus laughed. One day you're going to make some woman very happy. Cassian finally looked up. Unlikely. Marcus leaned against the desk. You ever think maybe you're too hard on people? No. That answer came suspiciously fast. Cassian returned to his paperwork. Marcus studied him for a moment. Most people saw the crown. The authority. The power. Marcus saw the exhaustion. The responsibility. The loneliness. Being Alpha King looked glamorous from the outside. Living it was another matter entirely. You should enjoy the gathering at least a little. Cassian raised an eyebrow. Why? Because everyone else does. That sounds like their problem. Marcus laughed. There he is. The conversation is over. Yes, Your Majesty. Marcus headed toward the door. Then paused. By the way, Cassian looked up. You've been distracted all day. Cassian frowned. I haven't. You have. Marcus opened the door. I just don't know why. The door closed behind him, leaving Cassian alone with thoughts he didn't particularly want. Years ago, Cassian had stopped believing in relationships. Not because he couldn't have them. Because he could. Too easily. Women approached him constantly. Desired him constantly. Admired him constantly. Yet none ever seemed interested in the man beneath the crown. Only the throne. The influence. The power. The prestige. After his family's deaths, that distinction became impossible to ignore. People changed around him. Conversations changed. Motives changed. Trust became difficult. Then impossible. So he stopped trying. stopped hoping, stopped caring. His wolf accepted the decision. For years. Until recently. Until yesterday. Something felt different. His wolf had been restless since morning. Alert. Waiting. As though sensing something nearby. Someone nearby. The feeling made no sense. And Cassian hated things he couldn't explain. He had searched every logical possibility. A threat. An enemy. A political concern. Nothing fit. Yet the sensation remained. Persistent. Unsettling. Growing stronger with every passing hour. As afternoons settled over the citadel, guests continued arriving. The fortress became increasingly crowded. Music echoed through hallways. Conversations filled every room. Servants rushed between events. Arya spent most of the afternoon attending mandatory introductions. She smiled politely, answered questions, endured awkward conversations, and counted the minutes until she could escape. At one point, she found herself trapped beside a group of young women discussing Cassian. Again. I heard he rejected an alpha princess. I heard he rejected 5. My aunt says he's impossible. My mother says he's intimidating. My sister says he's gorgeous. Arya sipped her drink. Those aren't mutually exclusive. The women blinked, then laughed. One of them turned toward her. What do you think? About what? The Alpha King. Arya shrugged. I've never met him. But you've heard stories. So has everyone. The woman leaned closer. If he asked you to dance tonight, would you say yes? Arya nearly laughed. If the Alpha King asks me to dance, I'll assume he's suffering from a head injury. The group burst into laughter. Unfortunately, the conversation continued. Arya escaped at the first opportunity. Finding Selene again felt like a rescue mission. That evening, the grand reception officially began. The ballroom glowed beneath golden light. Music echoed through the vast chamber. Guests mingled. Alliances formed. Rumors spread. Political negotiations unfolded behind polite smiles. Everywhere Arya looked, women prepared themselves for the Alpha King's arrival. Do they realize how ridiculous this is? She asked. Selene laughed. No. A woman nearby adjusted her dress for the 5th time. Another checked her makeup in a mirror. A third practiced smiling. A 4th rehearsed introductions under her breath. Arya couldn't help laughing. The entire situation seemed absurd. None of them knew Cassian. Yet they were already imagining futures with him. Maybe one of them will succeed. Selene nearly choked on her drink. Nobody succeeds. Someone has to eventually. Not likely. Why? Selene lowered her voice. Because he doesn't want them. Arya frowned. What do you mean? He never keeps anyone around. The answer surprised her. She had heard stories. Everyone had. Yet hearing them confirmed made the Alpha King seem strangely lonely. That's sad. Selene blinked. Sad? A little. Most women would call it frustrating. Arya watched the crowd. I think it sounds lonely. For a moment, Selene didn't answer. Then she nodded. Maybe. At precisely 8 o'clock, the ballroom doors opened. Conversation stopped. Music softened. Every head turned. The Alpha King had arrived. Tall. Powerful. Dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit. His dark hair brushed his collar. His expression remained calm. Controlled. Unreadable. The room instantly shifted around him. Women straightened. Men became more formal. Conversations paused. The atmosphere itself seemed to change. Cassian acknowledged several alphas. Spoke briefly with diplomats. Accepted greetings. Declined invitations. Moved through the ballroom with practiced ease. Yet there was nothing relaxed about him. Everything felt measured. Intentional. Careful. Within minutes, women began approaching. One after another. One after another. One after another. Each received the same polite response. Respectful. Distant. Final. A dance invitation. Declined. A private dinner request. Declined. An introduction arranged by influential parents. Politely shortened. Arya watched from across the ballroom. Not because she was interested. Because she was fascinated. The man looked utterly miserable. You were right. Celine smirked. About what? He hates this. The grin widened. Told you. Arya watched another hopeful woman walk away disappointed. Then another. Then another. The pattern became impossible to ignore. He really doesn't want any of this. Nope. Then why attend? Celine shrugged. Because he's king. That answer made sense. And somehow made the situation even sadder. Across the room, Cassian accepted another introduction. Another conversation. Another attempt. His patience was fading. His wolf was restless. The sensation from earlier had returned. Stronger now. Closer. Then suddenly, his wolf became still. Completely still. The abrupt silence inside his mind was so unexpected that he nearly stopped walking. A sensation unlike anything he had experienced swept through him. Not danger. Not aggression. Not fear. Recognition. His head turned instinctively. His eyes moving across the ballroom. Searching. Looking. For someone. He didn't know who. Didn't know why. Yet every instinct demanded he find the source. The crowd blurred. Voices faded. Conversations disappeared. Nothing mattered except locating whatever had triggered that reaction. Then, across the crowded room, Arya Blackwood laughed at something Celine said. The sound never reached him. The distance remained too great. But somehow, his gaze landed directly on her. Everything stopped. Not literally. The ballroom continued moving. People continued talking. Music continued playing. Yet for one impossible moment, none of it seemed real. Only her. A woman he had never met. A woman he knew nothing about. A woman standing near a balcony with a glass in her hand. His wolf surged forward. Awake. Certain. Focused. Cassian stared. Unable to look away. Across the room, Arya remained completely unaware. Still talking. Still smiling. Still laughing with her friend. She didn't notice him. Didn't feel his gaze. Didn't realize the most powerful alpha in the world had forgotten every other person in the ballroom. For the first time in years, the Alpha King wasn't thinking about politics, or responsibilities, or alliances, or duty. He was simply staring at a woman he couldn't explain. And for the first time in years, something inside him felt alive.